Beautiful day, beautiful and warm day at Coors Field. Middle game of a 3-game set. The Rockies and San Diego Padres. As Mark just told you, the Rockies just 3 up and 7 down so far this year against the Friars. Trying to turn that around with Tyler Chatwood on the hill this afternoon. Chatwood sprinting to the Coors Field mound. The Rockies and Chatwood. We'll see John Jay leading things off. He's been one of the better leadoff men in the National League all year, the former Cardinal. Here's the rest of the lineup for Andy Green, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Will Myers has been unconscious. Of course, the hero from the Padres' perspective last night with the 451-foot ninth-inning home run. Matt Kemp, Yangervis Solarte, Melvin Upton, he homered yesterday. He'll bat 5th. Alexi Ramirez moves up to the 6th spot. Derek Norris has been struggling this year. He'll bat 7th. Alexi Amarista gets a start at second base. And Eric Johnson making his Padre debut. So a little bit more on Tyler Chatwood, 7-4. And, you know, I think when you look at the breakdown, Huey, people see a 5+ ERA at home. They think, oh, he must just be terrible at home. That's really not been the case. He just kind of got nicked here and there.
Well, and it's usually just 1 inning per game that would hurt him, where you throw up a 3 or 4 spot. But for Tyler Chatwood, I mentioned the start against LA. He's already beat San Diego once this year, 8 innings, gave up only 3 hits. And it is a fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. But his fastball and slider, those are the 2 pitches that he'll use, especially with 2 strikes. He's got the 4th highest strike percentage with those fastballs and sliders with 2 strikes. So it worked last night for John Gray. Same game plan today against these same San Diego Padres.
So here we go. John Jay stepping up against Chatwood. And the first fastball of the ball game, which will feature about 71% of the time. A moving fastball. Usually it will tail. It'll cut at times. And the 1-0 is on the ground to DJ LeMahieu. Well, infielders are typically very busy when...
I love these days.
Yeah, I know you did when you played, when you have Chatwood on the hill. He's a ground ball pitcher. Parra, Blackman, Gonzalez in the outfield. And there's that good-looking infield for the Rockies. Dustin Garneau getting the catching assignment this afternoon. Nick Hundley worked last night. He'll work tomorrow afternoon also. So 2 pitches, and you get 1 out, and that'll bring up Will Myers. Will Myers with 6 home runs in his last 9 ball games. And overall, the Padres, they've played better the last 3 weeks, and they've hit the ball much better. And one of the reasons why is this guy at the plate.
What he's been able to do just here in the month of June in 9 games is 6 home runs, 15 RBIs.
You know, you move back a little bit longer period. Over his last 19 games, he's hit .373 and driven in 20. American League Rookie of the Year. 2-0 is fouled off. And I don't know if you want to see this again. If not, this is a warning. Close your eyes.
Close your eyes and actually close your ears too, because that had a loud sound to it. 451 feet was the distance on that home run last night from Will Myers.
You know, there's so many opportunities. You think back on it, and it'll steal sleep. For any hardcore fan, for McGee, for Walt Weiss, you had 2 outs, nobody on, and you had 2 strikes, and you had, you know, left-handed bats coming up. Unfortunately, this year for McGee, that just missed a slider. He has not handled lefties, which is really kind of odd, isn't it?
It is for a guy that throws as hard as he does. Last night we saw him, he was throwing 95, 97, 98 miles an hour. But I mean, even before the 2 lefties, you had Alexi Ramirez, who just punched the ball to right field. I mean, you had a chance to not even get to the left-handers, but once they both got on, you're thinking, oh man, here comes Will Myers. And, you know, say what you want about Matt Kemp, but this is the guy that you just had that feeling because he has been so good lately.
Even the J ball, if you were thinking, if you know, you read swings, Huey, I mean, that's what you did in the middle of the infield. And he was tardy left on left against McGee, and you know, Parra shaded that way. It wasn't the cleanest route to the ball, not an easy play.
Slicing away from you.
That just missed. So a walk with 1 out to Myers, who can run. Yeah, not an easy play, but you know, the Rockies, they just needed 1 out, and unfortunately couldn't get it done. And they have the tragic loss last night. Gerardo's been a Gold Glove outfielder in the past. Matt Kemp comes up.
But the good news is it's a 2 o'clock game. You don't have to wait around an extra 3 hours. You're right back at it. Now that game's out of your memory.
Good slider on Kemp.
That's where they pitched Kemp, and that's how they pitched Kemp last night. A lot of sliders, and then would back it up sometimes with a fastball when he had 2 strikes inside to tie him up. For Matt Kemp last night, he ended up going 0 for 5, 4 punch outs. And sometimes he just didn't know what was coming.
He's 0 for his last 11 against the Rockies, which that's probably the longest stretch of not producing in his career against Colorado. You think about it, 156 career games, 309 lifetime average, 41 home runs, 140 driven in. Against Colorado, bad throw, nice pickup by Mark Reynolds.
Tyler just short-armed that throw to first.
A couple of years since Matt Kemp had the golden sombrero, and a good throw would have had Will Myers.
He was leaning.
He had already turned his back. He was leaving. He wasn't leaning, he was leaving.
He was closer to second than he was to first.
And that's a soft base hit. And now you have first and second, and here comes the throw to third. Not going to get him. Will Myers goes first to third on a ball to left field. You don't see that frequently.
He saw this play in front of him, not looking at the coach. He's looking at Gerardo. He legs it out all the way to third. Nolan wisely came and closed ground on that ball, so Matt Kemp couldn't go to second base.
Now you have Solarte, the switch hitter, up there. Swung on and missed.
This is where that ground ball percentage, Chatwood, would come into play nicely. He's third in the National League with that percentage of 57.6%. They're pitching him up on the Subaru strike zone. That's more indicative of trying to get the strikeout.
2 balls and a strike now on Solarte. Kemp a conservative lead at first, and that's inside. First innings have been problematic more often than not for the Rockies this year. This is not hit particularly hard. LeMahieu's got 1 play, and because Will Myers went first to third on that base hit to left, the Padres get a run. 17th RBI for Solarte.
Just gets it in the right spot, and DJ going over and sliding knows that Kemp is too close to second base to try to make that play. They wouldn't have been able to turn it. So he knew that internal clock that infielders have, he knew that his only option then was to first base.
Upton tardy, strike 1. Just missed, and it's 1-1. Paul Emmel, veteran umpire, crew chief. He's behind home plate this afternoon. Pat Hoberg's at first, Mark Carlson at second, Quinn Wolcott at third. Spraying the fastball a little bit. 2 balls and a strike.
When for a guy that averages right at 15 pitches per inning. Tyler's at 21. Took 7 pitches to Will Myers when he eventually walked him.
And this thing is going to drop. Here comes Kemp around third. Cargo not going to be able to throw, and it's 2-0. Neither one of the 2 hits struck particularly well. Doesn't matter.
Off the end of the bat for Melvin Upton on the Subaru Supermo. Saw it perfectly. Just enough to hit it over DJ's head, but not hard enough for Cargo to come in and throw Matt Kemp out. Kemp getting waved around the whole time by Glenn Hoffman. Now that's the 176th hit that the Rockies have allowed with 2 outs.
That's among the most in baseball. The Rockies now have been outscored 38-30 in the first inning. You think about it, in game 62, you've given up 38 first inning runs. That's a bunch.
It is, and the problem is as a player, you're so geared. I mean, the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning is, you know, what time the game is, and you start to build up to that first pitch.
Runner going, and
oh, what a tag!
What a tag is right. DJ so athletic, and Upton is cut down trying to steal. He's the stolen base leader on the Padres, but San Diego up 2-0. Again, we've said that frequently. It's 2-0 San Diego as we go to the bottom of the first inning. Charlie Blackmon having a terrific season leading off, and let's take a look at the rest of Walt's lineup today, presented by Southwest Airlines. LeMahieu will bat second. Nolan Arenado will bat third. Cargo in the cleanup spot. Couple hits yesterday for Cargo. Trevor Story, Gerardo Parra, Mark Reynolds threw out a couple of knocks yesterday. Dustin Garneau swung it well in his last start, and then Tyler Chatwood. And the 500th hit yesterday. Congrats to Nolan, and naturally he did it with a flair. A 2-run opposite field home run, which was great to see. Eric Johnson, 2 starts with the White Sox, 8 starts down in Charlotte, AAA affiliate of the White Sox, in which he actually pitched very well. He's got big league experience, and he's pitched in this ballpark before, but not with much success.
No, he didn't. The White Sox lost that ball game 10-4. He allowed 4 runs on 9 hits, 4 strikeouts. Originally draft pick in the 2nd round by the White Sox in 2011, and these are the flashbacks that he's having in his one career start at Coors Field. You know, that's rattling around in the brain as he goes out and takes a hill today.
Of the guys in the starting lineup that have faced Eric Johnson, they are a collective 7 for 12. Charlie is 2 for 3 against him. DJ on deck's 2 for 3 against him. 3-1.
Johnson, 2.94 ERA at AAA. Both of his losses came against Boston and Cleveland.
And a walk. Maybe you like that. Charlie jogs down to first base. And that'll bring up LeMahieu. DJ yesterday was 1 for 5.
Second baseman, number 9, DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah, the Rockies were up 5-3, as we all know, in the 9th inning yesterday. But they had only 9 hits, which by their standards at Coors Field, especially on a warm night, was not exactly a robust showing, and they struck out 10 times.
And only 2 hits from the 5th inning through the 9th inning.
Tell you what, Charlie Huey has a sizable lead at first base.
And early on, after the infield's been watered, sometimes you'll get a little bit of caking underneath the cleats. So that's what Charlie has to make sure, that he finds some dry area to get a solid start.
That skips up there. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
And you can see it on DJ's pants when he had to make that sliding stop in the top half of the 1st inning, how much mud is out there. And when warm days like this, 92 degrees, you have wind, they really try to start watering the infield early in the day, and then they water it a lot just to keep that moisture in there and doesn't dry out and become too hard.
2 balls and a strike on LeMahieu, who will make you work just like Blackman. Well, you
might see some action here, though. I mean, either Charlie stealing, hit and run, a lot of different things that you can do. Well, fastball away, easy to shoot it to right field.
Charlie not going, and that's exactly the swing path of LeMahieu there. 2-2.
San Diego probably plays DJ to the opposite field as much as anybody. That's the center fielder. He should be in this area over here. That's how much he is into right center field.
Eric Johnson, originally a 2nd-round pick of the White Sox out of Cal Berkeley. He's doing well in AAA Charlotte this year, 2-1 with a 2.94.
Johnson has appeared in the major leagues every season since 2013.
And he came in that trade for James Shields. Big jump, and that's ball 4. So Johnson hangs his head, and that'll frustrate Andy Green and the entire dugout in San Diego. You get staked to a 2-0 lead. You walk the first 2, and now you got to deal with that man. Good news for the Rockies. Here comes Nolan.
Guy who had his 500th hit last night in a grand fashion, taking it out to right field for a couple runs. More RBIs, 19 home runs on the season for Nolan.
And he's ahead, Huey, of the pace set last year when he hit 42 to tie Bryce Harper for the league lead. At this juncture, through 61 games last year, he had 16 home runs, 49 driven in. So 3 more home runs, 4 more ribbies. And that misses ball 1. Nolan over his last 6 ball games, 10 for 24. 2 homers, 9 RBIs. Great chance for the Rockies to counterpunch here in the bottom of the 1st. That's low. 2-1.
And for Johnson,
4-pitch mix, sinker slider guy.
Right, and he's not overpowering. We've already seen it right now that he'll sit at 90 miles an hour, but the batting average against in the 2 games, I know it's a smaller sample size, but guys are hitting .393 against the fastball. been right at the bottom of the Subaru strike zone. We saw that last night with Quinn Walcott. He called those ones down there.
And you know what? Even though it was called a strike, good discipline by Nolan, because that's a ground ball waiting to happen.
That's a double play.
Cargo on deck. 2-2 on Arenado. He does such a good job. He was staying on his backside, doesn't he?
Well, and I was just thinking too, he also does a nice job of being able to just foul off those borderlines. You're not sure if they're close enough to be called a strike, but you don't want to let it go. But the only way you're able to do that is if you stay on your backside.
And again, same type of deal. So the home run he hit yesterday was just the third home run he's ever hit that is right of dead center field. That was truly to right field. That's the first one he's ever hit to true right field.
But I just think that, you know, they hit him left field, center field, or right field. It is amazing. But for Nolan, it just shows you how much he's kind of learning and evolving still as a hitter. 25 years of age, to think, well, that's just his first one to truly right field.
Here's the thing too, you get a feel in this at bat, and Nolan has this, I'm sure, in his head, he doesn't have anything to put me away.
He can't hit me out.
And Nolan upset, he worked under it. Got a pitch to drive. John Jay. 1 out. That'll bring up Carlos Gonzalez. When the Rockies score 7 or more runs, make your way to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the following day between 4 and 6 to get your Rockies taco special. Live Boss at Taco Bell. Cargo had about that 3-game stretch where he's piling up the strikeouts, but he broke out again last night with a single and a double in 4 opportunities. Has seen Johnson before, and he too is 2 for 3. 3 guys in the Rockies lineup, LeMahieu, Blackman, and Cargo, all 2 for 3 against Johnson. That stemming from that start a couple years ago here at Coors Field. It didn't last long from Johnson's perspective. 2 on and 1 out. Cargo drives this ball to deep right field. It is gone, and just like that, the Rockies are back in front. Number 14 for Cargo.
33rd RBI. And how about that for Cargo? Comes up 2 for 3 career against Johnson. He goes down, and with that sweet, glorious swing, gets enough lift, bat drop to put you back on top. And for Johnson, that is 20 home runs allowed in his 19 career starts.
And for Cargo, it's his 9th home run in the last 15 ball games. So can we get off? Oh, he struck out 8 times in 2 days. What's the matter?
It's 2 days, 2 games. And he's hitting .303 now.
Hey, wouldn't you like to be discussed as somebody that's struggling, hitting over 300?
Yeah, but when you're as talented as Cargo is, you'll have those 1 or 2 games, but then the other games, you just put the team on your back at times and say, here, I'm here, guys, don't worry about it.
This is a rip right up the middle for Trevor Story. Huey, you've said it many times. You know this from all your years playing and studying hitters as an instructor. Guys who lift, and Cargo has more often than not a big lift. You're going to generate a lot of bat speed. We know what kind of bat speed Cargo has, but you're also going to have occasional timing issues.
Because there's so many different pitchers that you have to face, and they all do things different. Some guys will be higher with their leg kick. I'm talking about the pitcher. So you have to try to guide and determine when you want to do it. And for Cargo, yeah, he will run into those stretches. With the leg kick, it's all about timing.
Running opportunity perhaps for Trevor Story. Parra at the plate. And Gerardo drives this to right, but it is exactly where Matt Kemp was stationed.
Right now, if you're Eric Johnson, you're just going, oh man, I don't have anything today. These guys are barreling and seeing everything.
Which is a sick feeling against this lineup in this yard. Upton, Jay, and Kemp in the outfield. Solarte and Ramirez on the left side. Alexi Amarista gets the start at second. Will Myers has played errorless ball at first base. And Derek Norris, he's behind the plate. Here's Mark Reynolds, 2 hits yesterday from Mark.
And you know it has to be going through Andy Green's mind right now, the manager of the Padres, because they had to make a roster move. Andrew Cashner today was put on the DL to activate Eric Johnson. They don't have a long man.
They don't have a long man, and I think here's the 1-0.
A true long man.
They don't have a true long man. This is going to get out of play. I think they would. They certainly, obviously, Cashner wasn't going on the DL if he didn't get hurt. But they would have gone in a different direction. Let's say Cashner just got blown up in the second inning, had to come out, and Perdomo went long. They would have made a different move in their bullpen to get somebody just in case it didn't work well for Eric Johnson. But to your point, they'd have to piecemeal it if Eric Johnson gets knocked around, and obviously he is already.
Boy, Quackenbush might be out of the equation because he threw 2 innings, 38 pitches.
Yeah, great point. 2-1. See if Story takes off here. 2 outs. Reynolds at the plate. Not going. And get back to the outside of the bag. Great slide by Story because the ball on that snap throw from Norris actually beat him there.
And for Norris just to pick this in front of the dirt, Trevor thinks it's going to get by, but it's a blind tag for a first baseman. When you catch it and you're trying to reach back because you've come off the bag, you don't realize how far you are. And Trevor wisely just uses that body positioning to slide out and around and grab it with his right hand.
Three balls and a strike on Mark Reynolds. And he rips it into left field for a knock. And Story hesitated. Now he's going to go to third, and the throw's not going to get him. Reynolds holding at first. And the Rockies not done here in the opening frame. Dustin Garneau coming up.
Mark Reynolds, base hit to left last night, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Alexi Ramirez is saying throw the ball to second base, but Trevor thought just for a second when he hesitated. Watch him hesitate and then kick it back in.
You know what that's called? Young legs, because he restarted really quickly.
Yeah, the older guys aren't able to do that. They pull a muscle. But for Trevor, I mean, it's not what you want to do ideally, but sometimes you just have to go on gut instinct, and he took off there.
Darren Balsley finishes his conversation. Make sure you join in on the conversation. Send us your thoughts, photos, questions via your favorite social media platform. Use the hashtag ToyotaTalk. We'll show some of your Toyota Talk comments throughout the game. Get some real good feedback from all of you throughout our broadcast. We appreciate it. This ball is tomahawked foul on the ground by Garneau. Making his 17th start for the Rockies behind the plate. He played in the game against the Pirates. He started there. The makeup game on Thursday went 2 for 3, including a double, had a walk, scored a couple runs. Really swung the bat well on Thursday. First and third with 2 outs. On the corner. Tony Walters, by the way, played last night, a rehab assignment with Albuquerque. A couple of hits for Tony.
Yeah, played all 9 innings. Supposed to play half the game again today. But that was a good report coming out of Albuquerque.
And a swing and a miss. So, Johnson strikes out Garneau. 8 come to the plate for the Rockies. 3 score on one swing of the bat from Carlos Gonzalez. And the Rockies are up 3-2.
3-2 with the Cargo home run. There's Tyler Chatwood coming off a one-hit shutout last week in Los Angeles, and it's time now for the Timeless Moment, brought to you by Coors Banquet. June 20th, 2006, Jason Jennings, Tom Martin, and Brian Fuentes combined to throw the first one-hitter in Rockies history versus the Oakland A's. Yes, that's Jason Kendall going fishing. The Rockies have had 2 one-hitters, 1 no-hitter, that's Ubaldo's, and 22 hitters. So it's pretty impressive to look at the numbers because it hasn't happened too often. It's great watching Tyler Chatwood. That start that we saw last week, fantastic. Guys?
Spilly, how you doing out there? It's 11 degrees.
It's you're gonna have a roasted goat on the side of this dugout.
Hey, you look good in black, though.
Yeah, who's the genius behind that one? I'm wearing all black.
That was Huey's decision today. We're blaming it on him.
Yeah, I would go all white, white on white on white today. R. Kelly.
Make sure you wear your gray tomorrow, okay?
Yes, you got it. Seattle gray tomorrow.
It's Seattle gray. We call it. It's an inside thing, folks. We call it Seattle gray. There's a reason. 2-0 right now on Alexi Ramirez. And Chatwood gets. Oh, I thought that was on the inside corner. I guess not. 3-0.
No, it wasn't on the Subaru strike zone. It just looked better because of the way Dustin had framed it.
And that's inside. So a 4-pitch walk to Ramirez, and that's the second walk allowed by Chatwood.
You know, I started to say it in the top of the first inning before Melvin Upton was thrown out at second base. But, you know, when you have to play catch up, and now the Rockies are ahead, but everything's built up to the start of the game, from when you wake up in the morning to you have lunch, whatever it is, and then you give up a lead early in that first inning. It just kind of brings you down a little bit. But now you've got some energy back on your side after the 3-run home run, but now it's up to Tyler to have a shutdown inning.
Kind of popped the ball out of his glove there, showing a little frustration. 5 straight out of the zone. Derek Norris, certainly a double play candidate. And there's a strike. Emphatically called by Paul Emmel. All right, make a good throw. And that was a very good feed. Just wasn't hit hard enough to turn 2. So Norris trades places with Ramirez, and that'll bring up Amarista.
And that's a trade you're worth having if you can't turn the double play. You get a slower runner in Norris, but Tyler comes up firing to DJ, and then again to make sure that they get that lead runner, and that without the neighborhood play, he had to step on the bag again.
Amarista part of that 9th inning Padre rally yesterday. Alexi takes outside. One and one. Amarista's hit better on the road this year than he has at home. 290 versus 226 at Petco.
Versatile guy that's been with the Padres for a few years now. Play the outfield, a couple infield spots.
And this one could be 2. There's the feed on the first double play. Nicely done. A 4-6-3 turn. Story got a lot on that throw to get the quick Amarista. 3-2 Rockies.
3-2 as we head to the bottom of the second inning. I want to take you back to this double play because it wasn't as easy as DJ made it look. It really in between hop at the end, but his soft hands, just a nice flip over to Trevor, and he had to get rid of it because that runner was right on top of him. Strong throw to first base.
Well, you look at that throw. Mark Reynolds came in between the inning, and he talked to Trevor Story. He said, bro, that was the hardest throw ever. He was expecting it to sink. It almost tied him up and broke his wrist.
Many times do you hear the first baseman say, hey, pal, you handcuffed me.
Yeah, not like that. I didn't have an arm. Huey, did you
No.
handcuff first baseman?
No, I had the good sinker working to first.
Chatwood at the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tyler in his career, 247 average, which among pitchers right now in Major League Baseball that have at least 100 plate appearances, Chatwood has the best batting average. He thought it'd be Mad Bum or Greinke. Greinke's on the list, but he's not number 1, and this will add to the list.
He heard you talking about him.
Yeah, just a good athlete. So Chatwood a lead single off of Johnson. The Rockies have 4 hits already, and that'll bring up Charlie Blackmon. Charlie had a very patient at bat his first time. He drew a walk, then DJ drew a walk, and then 2 doors down, Cargo hit the first pitch he saw from Johnson into the seats over the auxiliary scoreboard. That's why the Rockies are on top 3-2. Blackmon since May the 4th hitting .324, which is the 7th best batting average over that period of time in the National League. Guy the Rockies will see next week, Marcell Ozuna, has the best average at .391 over the last 5 weeks. Time we were down in Miami, Hugh, you look at Ozuna and you say, man, that's a talented kid.
Do a lot of different things.
Strong too. Play center field. And that was why did I swing at that? But fortunately, as you said, you didn't make contact, so you're okay with it, right?
Because so many times you'll have that bad swing, and as you're swinging, don't swing, and you don't understand why you do it, and then you hit it right back to the pitcher.
And you want to throw up for the next 40 minutes.
And then you say some things to yourself as you're running down the line. That's not repeatable.
Playing behind Chatwood, and that's inside 2-1. Bright, sunshiny day. As Jim Nash sung once. This is pulled foul.
93 degrees, hot day, little wind. One of those days it's right for.
Did I say Jim Nash? Johnny Nash. I'm corrected by Dougie, who would know all things music.
I thought maybe you might go the 50 Cent route.
50 Cent didn't write that song. I said Jim Nash. You know, brain locked up. 2-2, nobody out. Bottom of inning number 2.
If you had somebody else out there besides the pitcher, you'd start him, but I don't think you'll do that with Tyler.
You just worry about a leg injury, because
Right,
Tyler runs well, but you don't want him pulling a hammy. He's not going, and this ball is off the bag, fair, and I thought for a moment Myers threw it over the head of Ramirez, but Ramirez is long-limbed, and he was able to reach up and catch it for the force out. So Blackmon is at first now with 1 out.
I think this might be the one time where you're you're okay with the result because you get Tyler Chatwood off the bases. You get him back in the dugout, let him get a sip of water, towel off, and now you have a guy that can run in Charlie at first base.
Also had a number of opportunities with the traffic in the first inning plus for EY to get real reliable times on him going to the plate. Man, Charlie's got a big lead
yes,
again.
He does.
This ball's on the ground to short. Here's one and double play. That'll end the inning, a 6-4-3. Rockies lead it 3-2 as we go to the third. Yankees baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Bank of the West. For a personal approach to banking, go West. Bank of the West. By your hometown Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Drew Goodman, Jeff Houston, Ryan Spilborghs on a beautiful sunshiny day at Coors Field. The Rockies leading 3-2 as we go to the third. And congratulations to Walt Weiss's son, Bo, who just graduated from Regis Jesuit down in Parker. He was drafted in the 29th round by the Yankees. And he was listed among the top 200 draft prospects in the country. And this ball is on the ground to DJ. DJ is going to throw out Eric Johnson. Bo has signed an NLI, National Letter of Intent, to go to his dad's alma mater, the University of North Carolina. Here's some other notables with the Rockies ties. Bo Bichette, remember when he was 15, he was hitting the ball up on the concourse with a wood bat. He went in the second round to Toronto. And Javon Shelby, John Shelby, he's a longtime coach, former big leaguer, went in the 5th round to Oakland. Kayvon Biggio, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's at Notre Dame. He went in the 5th round to Toronto. Harmon Killebrew's grandson went to the Cubs in the 6th round. Preston Palmeiro, who you told me yesterday, you remember when he was running around the clubhouse, right?
Yeah, I remember when he was born. I mean, that's how long I've known him. But you know, for Preston, he walked on at NC State, and now he's a 7th round pick. So that just shows you don't have to be a scholarship guy. You can do it different ways.
Yeah, good for him.
I like the Biggio story too, and we don't have, I'll get to it right after this pitch, but. Biggio, his older brother Connor, is interning for Major League Baseball, and he actually announced the pick for his younger brother.
Wow, what a special moment that was, huh? That's pretty cool. John Jay, 2-2 count, 1 out. Rockies again up 3-2.
A couple other guys that were not on the list. Torrey Hunter Jr. was drafted, as well as Trey Griffey, Ken Griffey Jr.'s.
And those guys, they were drafted in the 20s. They're both football players.
They're athletes. So
right.
Just take a chance on them. You draft them.
Torrey Hunter's son plays at Notre Dame.
Yeah, and he went to the Angels, and then Trey plays for U of A.
Yeah, I had in the bowl game this year.
Seattle drafted him.
There you go. Trey's a big, rangy wideout. Swung on and missed. Tyler Chatwood strikes out John Jay.
Well, every Sunday home game this season is Bike to the Game, including tomorrow, Sunday, June 12th. Get more info at Rockies.com/green. And Bike to the Game tomorrow.
There's a lot of guys from the state of Colorado that went today. Jacob Greenwald, right-handed pitcher, signed with Mesa. He went in the 23rd round of the Giants. He's out of Windsor High School. Saw him pitch a lot last fall. He's got a big arm. Chatwood with a strong inning as he ties up Will Myers there. 1-2-3 in the third. That's a 9-pitch inning. 3-2 Rocks. The distance the Rockies earn throughout the season. Start tracking your own steps today to get fit. And so far in the 2016 campaign, the Rockies have walked 183 times. That totals 16,470 feet. So thank you to UC Health. Thank you to all of you out there for getting exercise in. Stay well, stay fit. Guy with a fit batting average and power numbers to boast about. Nolan Arenado at the plate. Nolan, then Cargo, Trevor Story. 3, 4, and 5 in the third inning against Eric Johnson. Johnson making his Padre debut. Came in the James Shields deal from last week. Nolan hit a high fly ball to center in the first. And he's going to be upset with himself. He jammed himself on that swing, and it's an easy play on the left side of the infield for second baseman Alexi Amarista.
Eric Johnson, in 18 career starts in the major leagues, is 7-6 with a 4.50 ERA. But down in the minor leagues, he's 12 games over, 36-24 with a 3.23.
Cargo's the difference in this ball game. He is in a lot of games. First pitch he saw from Eric Johnson, he lined into the seats above the auxiliary scoreboard for a 3-run home run, his 14th of the year.
Well, first inning, this is what you needed. You needed one of the two big guys to get you back on top, and Cargo provided that shot.
This is popped up to shallow left. Upton makes the catch.
Shortstop,
Trevor Story lined to pitch up the middle his first time for a base hit. Trevor yesterday was 2 for 3 and a walk. low. 2-0. Foul tip, 2 balls and a strike. See Nick Shumpert, Terry's son, went in the draft again, 28th round to Atlanta. He was drafted out of high school, out of Highlands Ranch High School. He's playing at San Jacinto Junior College. Great
one of the top programs, junior college-wise.
Yeah. Dane Hutchin, who played in the state in Colorado Springs, goes in the 29th round. He was at Montevallo in Alabama. Brody Westmoreland, College Southern Nevada. He went. This ball's well hit to right, way back, and this one is caught by Kemp up against the wall. So Story gave it a ride. Turns into a 1-2-3 third inning. To the 4th we go, 3-2 Rockies.
Cargo sent over the right field bleachers earlier today with the 3-run home run. Well, yesterday, Carlos Gonzalez went and visited with the Cure Foundation. The Carlos Gonzalez Foundation packed $500,000 worth of life-saving medical equipment to a hospital in north-central Venezuela. The supplies and equipment will provide sustainable medical options for hundreds of children, women, and men in need. Other players that were there, Brad Lidge, members of the Rockies PR were there. It's pretty incredible. Cargo mentioned he came from a very low-income family in Venezuela, and now that he's an opportunity since signing his contract several years ago, that he has that chance to give back, and he is giving back in a very special way.
Which comes as no surprise to those of us that know him. And good for Cargo. Good for all of those guys involved. Brad Lidge at Cherry Creek High School.
I'm just glad you hear these stories and people understand that you know what the players are doing and how they're giving back. Because too many times it's just on the negative side.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Kemp at the plate with a 2-1 count. Matt had a single in the first inning, snapping 0 for 11 against the Rockies. This one he rolls to short, and Story will throw out Kemp.
Well, you don't want to miss this. You got to come to the park early, because tomorrow, June 12th, you can take photos with your favorite Rockies players and coaches. Gates A and D open up at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Rockies Photo Day. Special treat.
You've been talking about the draft. I sat in the Rockies draft room on day 2, maybe day 3. I think it was day 3 a few years ago. To say it goes fast, it's like watching Mark Burley work. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like, the first round, there's 5 minutes between each pick. But when it gets into the 20s and ultimately to the 40th round, I mean, it is rapid fire. So you really have to be ready. That's a fair ball shot down the right field line by Adam Rosales. That looks like Rosales, not
yeah, he pinch hit.
Yeah, not Solarte. So something must have happened to Solarte. So a 1-out double in a 1-run game for Rosales.
Maybe Solarte hurt himself in that first at bat when he was running down the line. There was no indication anything was wrong. They just went to their bench.
Billy, you see what happened potentially?
Well, I saw Solarte before the game. Him and I were teammates in Round Rock in 2012, and he had his hand pretty severely wrapped that he jammed 2 days ago diving into a bag. So I'm curious if that is not on that play. He had something else going on prior to today's game.
No, but maybe it was on that swing because he got jammed pretty bad on that pitch from Tyler.
Upton is behind, 2 strikes.
But to finish your point on the draft, the last day, I mean, it's rapid fire. You better know who you want and what needs you need to fill as an organization to be able to draft that guy, because names are flying off the board.
Outside, 1-2. Last 16 games, the Padres have hit .289 and they've scored better than 5.5 runs a game. Two and two. Back up the middle, knocked down by Chatwood, get an out. Tyler did the right thing. So he gets Upton, 2 outs. Rosales to third base. And that'll bring up Alexi Ramirez.
Yeah, pretty slick fielding effort from Chatwood. Be able to get that out.
Looking at some of the Rockies picks today, Huey, and we'll have a whole breakdown over the next couple of days. A lot of college players over the last couple of days. This is on the ground to Chatwood, and he fields his position well.
Nice.
No harm done by the 1-out double by Adam Rosales. Middle of 4. Rockies leading 3-2 on the Cargo home run. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Subaru. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. And by American Family Insurance. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly. Rockies opened with a burst, 3 runs in the first inning. Not much in the last couple of innings against Eric Johnson. And in the 4th inning, it'll be Gerardo Parra, Mark Reynolds, and Dustin Garneau. Rockies home for 6 games. They beat the Pirates on Thursday. Lost that game in heartbreak fashion last night. And today and tomorrow with the Padres, and then a day off finally after 27 in a row. And then the Yankees on Tuesday and Wednesday before heading to Miami for a 4-game series beginning Friday. Talked about it yesterday. It's one of those strange carryover series, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then the Rockies will go to the Bronx. Chad Qualls is up for some reason.
You look at it, didn't see anything to Tyler on that last inning.
Well, only 54 pitches for Chatwood. Doesn't look like a guy that's in any sort of discomfort.
The Rockies did not take batting practice today, so maybe Chad's just getting loose.
This ball's well hit to right. It's over the head of Kemp, and off the very top of the scoreboard, Parr's got a dig. Kemp's got a good arm, and he'll have a double. That's his 20th double of the year.
And just his 3rd hit against San Diego this season, 3 for 34. Takes a 4-seam fastball on the Subaru Supermo. Got so much topspin on it, didn't have a chance to get out. But over the head of Matt Kemp, and then hits hard off that wall. Kemp had momentum coming back to the plate, or excuse me, back to the infield. Gerardo outran it.
So Reynolds, who had a base hit to left, is at the plate. He's trying to build another run here, up 3-2. 20 doubles for Parra. Placido Polanco has 21.
Well, he took the lead the other night when he had 3 doubles on Wednesday night.
That will help. Carpenter and John Jay, former teammates. Of course, Jay is now playing center field for the Padres. They have 20 doubles. Carpenter, outstanding leadoff man for the Cardinals. And that's a called strike 3. So an empty at bat for Reynolds there, and that'll bring up Garneau. The day after every Rockies victory, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Use the promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Did I say Placido? I meant Greg. We just saw him, Gregory Polanco with the Pirates. He's having a great year.
But I knew who you meant.
That's all that counts,
so that's
right?
all that matters. Well, Tyler Chatwood has his helmet on, his batting gloves, bat. He came to the on-deck circle. So I think it was just getting to the point before that ringing double off the wall for Chad Qualls. Rockies didn't take batting practice today, so maybe he was just going out there getting a little light toss in.
And he's already taken a seat.
Yeah, he's sitting down.
I think you're right. That probably
just to make sure that it's the arm's just partially warm.
He's an older guy. He's allowed to do that. Side on Garneau. 1 ball, 1 strike. I love looking at the draft stuff, and I know you do also.
It's fun.
This has nothing to do with anything, but I'm looking at the Braves' 36th round pick. A young man named Andres Perez from Pinecrest Academy. I don't know where that is. He's a catcher. He's a high school kid. You ready for this? He's a catcher. 6'7", 260.
6'7".
6'7", 260. Catcher.
Who's the Padres catcher a few years ago that was 6'4", first-round pick?
Davis.
Ben Davis.
Ben Davis. Well, did you play with Jody Davis? Did you play with Jody?
Played against him.
Played against
Jody.
Jody Davis,
Jody
big
Davis
guy.
was big. But 6'7", I haven't quite heard of that.
I have not heard of that. I've heard of that for like left tackles.
For a small forward.
Yeah. In the air to fairly deep center field. Jay still going back, and he made the catch.
That was not an easy play because that ball just kept going. Jay playing in the off gap, and he has to turn, keep running to a spot, and then readjust as he reaches back across his body to catch that baseball.
John Jay out of the University of Miami. Well, Chatwood had a base hit his first time up. That would work well here. Tyler with a hit would pick up his first RBI in all likelihood of the season.
Because of that base hit, he gets a curveball. First pitch wasn't close to the zone, but 66 miles an hour, way off the Subaru strike zone.
Two 2-0. Looks like you're going to pitch around him and work on Blackman, huh?
Well, that's what you do when you have a ringing line drive to right center field.
Two balls and a strike with 2 outs. Rockies up a run. And it's 3-1. '26-year-old Eric Johnson. And that is grabbed by Myers. And he gets it to Johnson. A run-saving play defensively by Will Myers. He's got his whole game working right now. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Late round picks over the years by the Rockies that made it to the big leagues. Scott Oberg, he's been up this year. 15th round pick out of UConn. Christian Bergman, he's on the DL right now. 24th round pick. Dustin Garneau, caption today. 19th round pick out of Fullerton. Matt Reynolds in 07. Dexter Fowler, now he had first round talent. There was some signability issues because he had an offer from Miami, offer from Harvard. EY Jr., 30th round pick. Boy, he's done a great job. How about in 2000? Back-to-back rounds, 10th and 11th round, Huey Barmy and Brad Hobb. And let's not forget our old friend Juan Pierre in the 13th
JP.
round out of South Alabama.
Well, and even Quentin McCracken in the 25th round. I mean,
Q is out of Duke. He's in Quentin's in the front office. Is it Houston?
Arizona.
Is it Arizona's
Arizona.
front office? Okay. That looks like fun.
Might be some future draft picks in the 2035 draft.
Let me do the math on that.
I don't know if I just picked the number out of my head.
Yeah, who knows? You're right.
Right?
Could be. Probably a little bit sooner, but you're in the neighborhood.
That's hard when you have to think that fast.
Believe me, I know. Rockies up 3-2. Derek Norris at the plate. Hit into a fielder's choice his first time. 2 runs on 3 hits allowed by Chatwood. 2 runs came in the first. Rockies got a 3-run home run from Cargo in the bottom of the first. That's all the scoring. And that's going to drop. Really, all of the hits against Chatwood have been of that variety, with the exception of maybe Rosales is down the right field line.
Yeah, that's the only one. But for Derek Norris, he gets jammed on the Subaru Supermo, and the barrel of the bat almost went as far in the air as the baseball did. Baseball just a little bit further over the head of Trevor.
Amarista takes strike 1.
Amarista grounded into a double play his first time to end the second inning. Gorgeous 4.63.
We're talking about tall catchers. That young man who was drafted today. Tallest catcher ever in the big leagues, Larry McClain, 6'5". He had to be a giant because he played between 1901 and 1915 for 5 different teams, including the Reds and the Giants. 6'5" catcher back in the early part of the 20th century. It's like a 7-foot guy, right? This is up the middle, not hit very hard, and a good decision by Story to make sure he got the lead runner.
Know who your runners are prior to the pitch being thrown. Trevor knew that Derek Norris was running, so when he grabs his ball in front of the bag, he has to make a turn to get that throw off to DJ, and DJ has to step on the bag and get out of the way of the sliding spikes of Norris.
Bring up Eric Johnson with 1 out, and Huey and Spilly, you guys were on the money with Solarte. We just got word from the Padre clubhouse. Bruised, I believe it was left thumb. Bruised left thumb. That's why he was removed for Rosales.
Why do you ever doubt me, Drew?
I never have doubted you. Ooh, Chatwood almost didn't field that. Did you see that, Spilly?
I think he thought Nolan was going to come across and try to get the baseball, so he was laying down for Nolan to make the play. And then when he realized, when he looks up, Nolan's not there.
He feels just behind him. He's like, oh, Nolan's got it. Nolan says, throw it to first now. It will be a sacrifice 1-4.
Well, it's like what Ralph Kiner said many years ago, the late Ralph Kiner, about Gary Maddox in center field. He said 2/3 of the world is covered by water, the other third is covered by Gary Maddox. And I guess that's what Tyler was thinking. He said, you know, 2/3 of the world's covered by water and the rest covered by Nolan.
Most of the time it is.
Yeah. Nolan saying, no, you can participate.
It's okay, because you've been
busy
rolling
today,
a lot
right?
of ground balls out there. 12 ground ball outs for the Rockies today. No fly outs.
John Jay swings through that offering. It's 0-1. Again, the tying run at second in Amarista.
And good speed at second with Amarista.
Guy who's hit very, very well with runners in scoring position this year. Tough out, Jay. And that's a base hit around third, part of the baseball, and the throw home is cut off, and now they have Jay hung up. John Jay continues to be a tough out with runners in scoring position. He ties it up with a base hit to left. It's now 3-3. Colorado Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. From the rock pile, a view of Coors Field, and it's now a 3-3 game after that knock by John Jay with 2 outs. Again, those 2-out hits hurting the Rockies.
But they did execute the rundown flawlessly. First, you get the good throw from Gerardo, keep it low enough for Nolan to make the decision. Then Nolan throws it to DJ. Key point here, DJ gets the guy running hard, so it's hard to turn around, throws it to Martin, and then Nolan finishes it off with the tag. He's saying, where's the shortstop? Well, Trevor had already relayed over to third base, so Nolan just filled in his spot.
Blackman takes a breaking ball for a strike. Charlie a walk and a run scored in the first. Reached on a fielder's choice in the second. Third time through the lineup now against Eric Johnson. Johnson faced 8 Rockies in the first inning. 3 scored on the Cargo 3-run home run.
He was helped out by his defense last inning. He had the great catch in center field by John Jay off the bat of Dustin Garneau, and then the layout of Will Myers at first base to rob Tyler of a hit and an RBI.
Rockies typically have gotten a lot done offensively early in games, and then there seems to be a little bit of a void in these middle innings. Hopefully today the Rockies can bust out a little bit. Did you get injured, partner?
Yeah, I did. A little paper cut.
Bleeding like somebody took a knife to you.
I'm all right.
You gonna live?
My left hand. I don't need to write with that.
Looking at your penmanship on with your right hand, you might think about going to the left hand.
I'm all right. I'm all right. Just a little bit.
Good thing your son Kyle's in the booth. Just back up.
I was just moving my paper, and you know how those paper cuts hurt. It's all good.
They're very annoying. Are you going to go on the DL? Or
no.
Day to day?
Day to day.
Day to day?
Yeah, I'm day to day.
Spilly, you okay down there?
No, I'm a roasted goat. I don't think I can go anymore.
This
here
ball
we go.
crushed to right way back, and off the foul pole. Home run, Charlie Blackmon. Good aim. And the Rockies back in front 4-3.
Great aim. Charlie was running down the line saying, don't hook too much, don't hook too much. Charlie, get that foot down and then connect out in front. Get all that power, and he knew it immediately that it had enough distance. Don't hook, goes up about 3/4 of the way up the foul pole. 7 home runs now, 30 RBIs.
Yeah, that ball was hammered. Strike on LeMahieu. DJ's 0 for 1. A walk, a run scored. That came in the first inning. They estimate the distance on that home run at 425 feet.
That'd be a tough one to guess, though, because of how high it went, hitting off the foul pole. How much further would it go?
I don't know how they calculate it, but
sure.
They have some system.
Okay.
How about Blackmon? You want to talk about consistency? Charlie came into the ball game, Huey, hitting 300 at home, 292 out on the road. Oh, 2 again on DJ. 1-2.
Every time.
You want more balance, real quick?
Yeah.
He's hitting 295 against righties, and Chuck Nasty hitting 298 against lefties.
Well, I was going to say, San Diego scored 2 runs in the first. Rockies rally for 3. San Diego scores a run in the 5th. They rally right now to get at least one back.
This is to dead center. John Jay's nowhere in that neighborhood. 2 hops to the wall. Could it be 3? Here goes DJ. He's traveling towards third. It is a triple for LeMahieu.
3rd triple this season, 20th of his career. DJ frees this one on contact on the Subaru Supermo because he squares this up right on the sweet spot of the bat. But then we talked about the way San Diego positions DJ, how much they're in the right center field gap. And when this ball goes into the corner, or excuse me, into center field, DJ legs that out easily.
Infield comes in halfway. I would bet, and I'm not a betting man, but I would bet a whole lot that the result of this at bat will produce a run.
Well, with Nolan, for me, it's either you play all the way in to try to cut it off or you just play back. To the 3 depth, he's going to hit it past you anyway.
And you have good speed at third. Nolan's behind 0-2. That's one of the more tentative swings you'll ever see from Arenado. Nolan, fly ball to center and a ground ball to second. Nobody out. Rockies up 4-3 on the Blackmon home run. And LeMahieu, who just tripled, is standing less than 90 feet away.
This is where Nolan excels with, even with 2 strikes. It doesn't, I mean, some guys would be really worried right now.
Wow.
Boy,
That's why I don't bet. That is a non-Nolan Arenado type of at bat.
Swings at that slider that's 6-7 inches off the plate, but it goes back to the second pitch of that at bat. Just that swing that he took just tells you it just wasn't, he wasn't seeing it right.
See how they play this now. I don't know if they're going to pitch to Cargo. they're going to squat and pretend to. We'll see.
Maybe for a pitch or two. Oh, they caught a break.
Did that hit Paul Emmel?
Yeah, that went off the home plate umpire.
Everybody in that San Diego dugout saying, nice block, Derek. Got a baby. Cargo, a 3-run home run in the first. One out, LeMahieu at third. 4-3 Colorado. There's the luxury of the infield now being in and no shift on.
Wow, late call from Emmel. It was a strike on the Subaru strike zone. Just
that's generally a pitch in Cargo's wheelhouse, out over the plate. And this is a pop-up to shallow left. This may drop. It will. And Cargo's going to turn it up, go for, nope, he's going to head out back, got to get down, safe at first. A bloop single for Cargo, and the Rockies lead at 5-3.
All smiles for Cargo. He hits a home run for 3 RBIs, pulls that with a lot of power to right field. Now this ball went only about 150 feet right down the left field line. Thought about going for 2. Wisely scampers back to the bag at first.
4 RBI afternoon for Gonzalez. Trevor Story. Bullet single up the middle, and then he hit a ball to the wall in right. Matt Kemp made the catch. And this ball in the air to Kemp. This is an easier play.
Fans, you want to fill out your 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now, Rockies.com, on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Vote up to 35 times at Rockies.com/vote.
Cargo earlier this year, as you look at Trevor, had a 5-ribby game against the Padres. Actually, it was last week in San Diego. Parra doubled his last time up. And that's a base hit. Cargo will go first to third. Gerardo having a nice day with the bat.
Had a hard line drive his first at bat. That was caught for an out, and then a double and a hanging curveball on the Subaru Supermo that he just pulls past the diving Amarista into right field.
Andy Green's coming out. That is going to be the end of the line for Eric Johnson here with 2 outs in the 5th inning. Rockies leading 5-3 at Coors Field. Rockies up 5-3 as you take a look at the Cooney Lexus. Look back on what has transpired so far. Fargo a 3-run home run. Fargo also with a bloop single, and look at this big fly off the bat of Charlie Blackmon. Gave the Rockies a few minutes ago a 4-3 lead. And they have runners at first and third with 2 outs. Mark Reynolds coming up, and he's going to face the veteran right-hander Carlos Villanueva.
He has worked a season high of 3 innings. That's Carlos. 36 strikeouts, 35 2/3, only 5 walks. Fastball be about 88, 89 miles an hour. Slider, changeup, and curveball.
And this is on the ground to Amarista. He gets to the bag first. That'll end the inning, but a good inning for the Rockies. Charlie goes deep off the foul pole, and the Rockies add another on the base hit by Cargo. It's 5-3.
Five 3 in the top of the 6th inning. Tyler Chatwood heading out for his 6th inning of work. A very efficient Tyler Chatwood, 11 ground ball outs, no fly ball outs through 67 pitches. Take a look at the names. Tyler is as good as they come when you look at the ground ball outs. Jaime Garcia is only better than him in baseball. Jake Arrieta, Kyle Hendricks, and Steven Matson. When you look at those numbers, you got to realize that when Tyler's at his best, we'll see the walks. He has 2 walks today, but you're going to see those efficient ground ball outs. There's only been one Rocky to ever have a better ground ball to fly ball ratio, and that's an Aaron Cook.
Yeah, Aaron Cook was a ground ball machine, but so's Tyler Chatwood. And we were talking about this earlier, Spilly and Huey. The balls today that have gone for hits against Chatwood, there's 5 of them. 3 were, broken bat, bloop type of hits, which, you're going to give up, especially as large an outfield as you have to defend here at Coors Field.
Just the John Jay hit to left field last inning to drive in the run, and then Rosales' double to right field. But for Aaron Cook, we talk about the ground ball ratio for Tyler, 2.40. Cookie, the best year he had was 2.78 ground balls per fly ball.
Special.
He could just roll out there and just throw that bowling ball sinker to home.
Myers takes the slider. It's 3-2. Ball 4, second time Myers has drawn a walk. That's 3 walks allowed by Chatwood.
Last time he walked Myers in the first, he scored.
And you got Kemp coming up, who's 1 for 2. And this ball cut off nicely for 1 by Nolan. Turns it into a 5-4-3 wrap around the horn double play. That worked nicely.
Yes, it did. That's the second double play today that the Rockies have turned. You know, once it goes into Nolan's glove, he's going to make the easy toss to DJ and then over to Mark Reynolds. Those two, this whole infield, it's so much fun to watch on a nightly basis because there's not a play that they can't make. They make the tough play, but they also make the plays, the routine ones, the ones that have to be turned at the major league level.
One ball, 2 strikes on Rosales. He doubled in his first plate appearance, coming in for Solarte in the 4th inning. Hurt his thumb or re-aggravated a thumb injury. 1-2. 2-2. Strike 3. So after the walk, Chatwood put his foot down, got a double play ground ball, and then the strikeout of Rosales safely through the 6th with the Rockies ahead 5-3. Time for our Lowe's home field advantage. Last 3 starts at Coors Field for John Gray, who got a no decision, a tough one yesterday. How about this? 20 innings, 13 hits, just 5 earned runs, and almost a 5-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. You can forget that talk about Coors Field being problematic for John Gray. Doesn't matter where wherever he's pitching, he's been outstanding.
He's thrown 4 consecutive quality starts, and I know sometimes that number is a little iffy, but for John, it totally matters because he's 3-0, 2.30 ERA. He's only given up 3 earned runs in his last 27 in the 3rd innings.
Garneau behind Villanueva, 0-2.
John last night, 7 innings, gave up 3 runs, but remember, only one of them was earned because of the air. 0 walks, 7 punch-outs. Again, dominating the Padres and striking out a lot of guys. His last start prior to that, he struck out 12 Padres.
No swing. And the interesting thing is, this is how you know he's really emerging, Huey. After the ball game yesterday, and he gives honest assessments. He's not trying to, you know, create something. He said, I really didn't feel, that's called strike 3, because I really didn't feel like I had great command or necessarily great stuff. And that's why you saw more than half the time first pitch breaking balls, whether it be the slider or the curveball. He figured out a way when he felt like he didn't have superior stuff to not only work his way deep into the ball game, but with great effectiveness. That's how you know you're really coming along.
And I also know that because in the 7th inning, he threw a changeup, one that he really hadn't thrown a lot of changeup, to Brett Wallace.
Chatwood, it's a pop down the right field line. Alvarista is going to grab it. 2 outs. Spilly, from your vantage point, your thoughts on what you saw last night from John Gray?
I got to spend a little bit of time with John Gray in between the game today and was talking to him about that changeup that you just mentioned, Huey. And he said he threw about 4 or 5 changeups last night. And he knew in that situation with Brett Wallace hitting, looking for the fastball, that he was going to spin himself straight into the dirt with the changeup. And it's something he said he's feeling a lot more comfortable throwing. That was a 3-2 changeup he felt comfortable doing. And his progression over baseball so far in the last month is becoming more cerebral than just throwing.
I think one thing we lose sight of, it's a strike on Charlie with a long home run his last time up to give the Rockies a 4-3 lead. They're up 5-3 now. Is that not only are these guys trying to grow as baseball players, heck, they're 18, 19, 20, 22, 24. They're trying to grow as people, and they, part of the overall maturity that we talk about with our kids, they have to go through as people, let alone as athletes.
On a big stage with a lot of pressure and everything happening to them. And another spot that I thought John has grown was that start in Boston when he talked about the mound being more flat than he's used to. So he had to make adjustments there.
That was a monumental start for him. Not only because of what you mentioned, he's coming off a bad feeling in his last start, got beat up in St. Louis. You're against a Boston team that had, you know, just knocked the socks off the baseball, and he was terrific. 5-3 Rockies. We go to the 7th. Here's our Kubota pitching performance. And once again, Tyler Chatwood gets featured. So far through 6 innings, he's allowed 3 runs on 5 hits. Walked 3, struck out a couple. Got his club in front, 5-3. And in the 7th inning, Chatwood will face Upton, Ramirez, and Norris. Melvin takes high, ball 1. Soft single to drive in a run in the 1st inning, and then a comebacker. He's 1 for 2. On the ground to short. Story's got it. Throw hop. Been a perfect throw. 1 out. Find the latest Albuquerque Isotopes jerseys, t-shirts, novelties, and much more at abqisotopes.com. Albuquerque Isotopes, proud AAA affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. And I'll be heading there, Huey, I didn't tell you this yet, but taking a day later in the month to go watch Zach play down in Albuquerque in a tournament. And I was able to do this last year, so I'll catch an Isotopes ball game. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, maybe you'll catch one of those games like they had last night when they collected 16 hits, and that was their 2nd consecutive game with 15 or more hits. That'd be nice to see down there. What a beautiful ballpark.
Great ballpark. Tremendous ballpark. And plenty of talent there also. You know, Jeff Hoffman had a rough outing, really the first rough outing he's had all year in his last outing, but he's been sensational. Old buddy Brandon Barnes down there, Ben Paulson down there, Rafael Inoa down there. Tyler Anderson was there, but Tyler is now in the Rockies bullpen, added today with the injury to Jake McGee. And you may be wondering, well, who's closing today? It'll be Jason Mott closing today for the Rockies. So Anderson called up from Albuquerque. He'll be making his major league debut when we see him. And McGee, left knee inflammation. He's on the shelf.
Not sure when that inflammation happened. It looked like it was more after that last pitch and home run.
Look at this, spinning, throwing, out at first base. Trevor Story with a beautiful play. So athletic.
So when he ranges to his left and catches this ball, so watch how far he has to go. But as soon as you catch it, right here is when you're already thinking about, I have to spin and throw it, because he caught that ball back more behind his body. If you're able to catch it in front of your body, then you'll just rotate your hips and make the throw on a normal path. But if you catch it behind, as Trevor will do on this Subaru Supermo, right there, you know you have to spin. Then the second part of that is when you come out of that spin, trying to pick up the first baseman.
Quickly 2 strikes on Derek Norris. It's also nice when you have a plus arm.
That always helps everybody.
Yep.
And that's what you have on the left side of this infield. Even DJ has the strongest arm as anybody for a second base. Those guys, when they come up and they come up over the top, they're 90 plus at least going across the diamond.
1 and 2. I mean, DJ, his whole career was a left side infielder. He was a shortstop at LSU. That was pitch number 91. You know, this gives you an idea with Chatwood. We were talking about John Gray after the game saying, you know, I didn't have my best stuff, and this ball's hit hard up the middle of the base. I guarantee you Chatwood's going to say the same thing in the locker room after the ball game, because the split, Huey, is not what you want. He's thrown 92 pitches, 50 strikes, 42 balls, almost 1-to-1. That is not what you're looking for. Yet he's got a 5-3 lead. He's got 2 outs in the 7th inning, so he's worked deep. And of the 6 hits he's allowed, Walt's going to come get him right here. You know, only a couple of them were really barreled. That ball was hit hard. So on a hot day.
But another solid performance from Chatty.
Chatwood right now in line for his 8th victory. He'll walk off. 2 outs in the 7th. The Rockies up a pair of runs. Rockies baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo customers get your 2-for-1 club level tickets by visiting wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. Tyler Chatwood parts after 6 2/3. And Boone Logan will face Alexi Amarista.
See the numbers on Boone. 167 batting average against. Well, lefties hitting a mere 118. And Amarista 0 for 3 career-wise against Boone.
Boone's got that outstanding slider going again. Not that one.
Not that.
Not that.
No, that wasn't one.
Yeah. 1-0.
The next one will be that outstanding slider.
Yep.
See, there it was.
Yeah. Just had to recalibrate. Another one, 1-2.
So why not throw him a third one?
Like that?
Like that.
Logan comes in, strikes out Amarista, and the Rockies, as we stretch at Coors Field, have a 5-3 lead on the Padres. Here's this week's CenturyLink High-Speed Challenge question. There have been 7 cycles in Rockies franchise history. We want to know which player completed the cycle the fastest within the game. Tulowitzki, Gonzalez, Lansing. Those are your 3 choices. Here's where you go to vote at RootSports_RM. LeMahieu, Arenado, and Gonzalez in the Rockies' half of the 7th inning. Carlos Villanueva remains on the mound for San Diego. DJ, triple his last at bat. He's also walked. He scored a couple runs. He takes a strike. Outside. Well, the Rockies want to improve on what they've done against teams below 500. It's become part of the narrative so far in the first half. 7-14 against teams that are below 500, and very good 21-19 against teams at or above 500. The Rockies last couple of years, Huey, for instance, a much better record against the Giants.
Well, 16-13 since 2015 against the Giants, but just 10-19 against the Padres. To your point, and even if you didn't win all of those games, I mean, it's not saying you're going to be able to do that, but if you take away 4 of the losses and add them to the win column, you're looking at a game above 500.
Yeah, I mean, between the Padres and the Reds, yeah, I mean, they're major league teams, right. So you can't just assume that you're going to win. But if you take four of those losses and flip them, you're talking about a team above 500 right now. And looking ahead, their schedule in July, right now, teams they're going to face actually the rest of June and July, the collective schedule, those teams are below 500.
That's where you have to kind of make a statement right now and start beating those teams and taking series from them. I'm not saying you have to go out and sweep them, but start taking series.
3-2 on LeMahieu, and DJ smokes it past. Once that hit the dirt, no chance for Ramirez. He's kind of one of those, I'm going to put some leather down and get the body out of the way, and you either come up with it or you don't. That's a base hit.
And hope somehow that the ball finds the glove. And it's rightfully ruled a base hit, because that was the only option that Ramirez had, because it was hit so hard, blistering off that dirt, picked up some speed. Another base hit for DJ. He's up to now 311 after that hit.
Together an all-star first half. Nolan's 0 for 3. That ball driven toward Camp, and he's going to make the catch. 1 out. That'll bring up Cargo.
Well, the first 20,000 fans through the gates on Wednesday, June 15th, will receive a Colorado Rockies baseball cap courtesy of Coca-Cola.
Cargo's driven in 4, 3-run home run and a bloop single to drive in DJ in the 5th inning. And for Cargo, 2 hits last night, 2 more today. This is his 24th multi-hit game. He's in the top 3 in the National League in producing multi-hit games. The Rockies would love to keep expanding this lead.
And don't rest. You saw what happened. You thought you had the extra run last night. It was going to help you. Just put it away.
Villanueva inside, ball 1. Shift is on. But because there's a runner at first, Amarista's not playing a rover spot. You have 4 guys on the dirt right now, which helps Cargo, who hits the ball as hard as anybody in baseball. It's a called strike, 1-1. This ball lined to deep right, but it's gloved out there by Kemp. 2 lineouts, one by Nolan, one by Carlos, and that'll bring up Trevor Story, who's 1 for 3.
Trevor's kind of sat right now in that number 5 spot in the batting order. He's been there for a while now after hitting 2nd in the early part of the year.
And he's got some batting order versatility also. He did a ton of damage, as we know, in that 2nd spot. But
Probably a better fit in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, probably the strikeout's a little bit high right now for the 2-hole, but he's an RBI guy with his ability to hit it over the wall and his extra base hit ability.
But I think the way they did it by hitting him second to start off with was wise, because you had either Cargo or Nolan hitting behind him, so for some protection.
Yep. As
he was just learning the major leagues.
Can't argue with the kind of success he had there hitting in that 2 spot. Rockies trying to bounce back after that gut-wrenching loss last night. You know, the Rockies have been walked off on 3 times this year. 2 notable ones last night, the game against the Dodgers earlier in the year where the Rockies had a 3-run lead. They don't have any walk-off wins yet this year.
We were checking that today prior to the game. That's a little surprising.
Runner going and thrown out trying to steal is LeMahieu. He's cut down to end the inning. So we'll go to the 8th. The Rockies up 5-3 on the Padres.
The Rockies fans, direct your attention to Rockies Vision for today's edition of Smashes and Crashes presented by Panorama.
Here's our first bank game recap. The Rockies 5 runs, 10 hits, 3 runs, 8 hits for the Padres. Cargo a first inning 3-run home run. As we come back live, the last play's under review. Stolen base attempt by DJ. And it was close. He slid to the outside of the bag. And it will not change, so he is out.
There wasn't much argument from DJ. The only thing they might have been looking at is, did he have control of the ball? Because the ball really wasn't in his glove when the foot was going towards the bag. From the other angle, you could see that he attacked it before his foot reached there. In any event, 4th caught stealing this year for DJ. Now Boone Logan will take his throws out on the mound after finishing up last half inning by striking out Amarista.
Let's check in with Spilly. Got an injury update, Spilly.
Well, yeah, the guys, Tony Walters had a rehab assignment last night, went 2 for 4, and Adam Ottavino threw yesterday in Modesto 2/3 of an inning. What I heard was there was a little bit of trouble catching Ottavino because his stuff was still really good, 92 to 94 miles an hour, good slider. And then when you talk about Jake McGee going on the disabled list, Tyler Anderson now in that bullpen. Tyler Anderson coming off pretty significant arm injury in 2015 where he had the fractured elbow. So that's a great story, especially since the fact that he came off of the disabled list with an intercostal strain earlier this season. There's a time in Tyler Anderson's career where they thought maybe he would never pitch again because of the stress fracture. So that's a great story. I love keeping up with that.
And I appreciate the update, Spilly. For Ottavino, we get questions about when he will return. It's going to be a process. I mean, he's going to pitch in Modesto for a little bit. He'll reevaluate, he'll move on to Albuquerque, and then he's going to have to graduate to where he pitches back-to-back days. You know, it's getting used to competing again, the adrenaline rush.
It's a full 30-day rehab, and that's what pitchers are allowed to have. It's not just 10, 12 days. Talked to Scotty Murayama, who is a rehabilitation coordinator for the Rockies today. He talked to Otto last night. He said it felt great. His arm felt just phenomenal while he was out there pitching. And I said, that's the bottom line right now.
Hector Sanchez, switch hitter, in from the right side, pinch hitting for Villanueva. 9-1 and 2 in the 8th inning for the Padres. Same score as last night, 5-3. The Rockies in front. Logan will have the first 2 hitters of the inning, and then rest assured that Walt will come out with Will Myers due up third.
And last night was the gamesmanship between the Padres and the Rockies, with Hector Sanchez in the 9th inning, because the Rockies had Carlos Estevez out there on the mound. Then they announced, after they announced Sanchez, and they brought the other guy in. So he made an appearance in last night's game, but didn't even play. Didn't even get a step in the box or on the field. He was announced.
He was announced. And Sanchez is announced, and now he'll stride back to the dugout. Strikeout victim. So 2 batters faced out of the bullpen by Boone Logan, and he has struck them both out, and that'll bring up John Jay. Jay had a run-scoring single in the 5th to tie up the game at 3-3. Jay hits it in the air to left, and Gerardo Parra is right there, and Parra makes the catch, 2 outs. So Walt will come out to get a right-hander interface Myers. 2 outs in the 8th inning. The Rockies leading the Padres 5-3.
Your attention. Now pitching for the Rockies. It's brought to you by Cricket Wireless, something to smile about.
2 outs in the 8th inning. With Jake McGee on the disabled list after yesterday tweaking a knee, Jason Mott is going to close games, and interestingly, he's going to be asked, it looks like, to get 4 outs in his first appearance in a Rockies uniform in a late inning role. Of course, he's very familiar with pitching in save situations. Will Myers with 2 outs and nobody on. Myers 0 for 1, 2 walks. Those 3 at bats, 3 plate appearances against Tyler Chatwood.
That is the luxury that you have with Mott, that he has experience, saved over 40 ball games 1 year with the Cardinals. So he knows how to get it done late in the game. But you're right, but the most he's pitched since coming back off the DL with the shoulder issues has been 1 inning.
He's been off for 4 days. June 7th, his last appearance. And a strike at 93 on Will Myers. Myers with 13 home runs, driven in 37, way ahead of his pace of a year ago. And this is popped up, playable. Left side, Story calling for it. Jason Mott gets Will Myers. That's all for the Padres in the 8th. The Rockies leading 5-3 at 20th and Blake. Who wants tacos, folks? Follow @RootsSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies taco special when the Rockies score 7 or more in a ball game. Rockies with a 5-3 lead, bottom of the 8th inning. Trevor Story's going to face Brandon Maurer, who's had a tough year for the Padres. Came down for Seattle to handle the 8th inning. And it's been more often than not a rough ride for Maurer.
He's given up more hits than innings pitched. He does have a lot of strikeouts. 30 appearances for Maurer. That leads their ball club. Fastball will be between 94 to 97. Will touch 99. And a hard slider about 88.
Foul back, 1-1 on Story. Well, the draft is complete. 22 players from with ties to the state of Colorado, at least originally prepped in the state of Colorado, selected in this year's June amateur draft.
We always say it, there's a lot of good players here in the state.
A lot of good players. And that's just the 7th most ever, if you're wondering about a comparison to other years. 1-2 on Trevor, and Mauer strikes him out.
You don't want to miss the action when the New York Yankees make a rare appearance at Coors Field on June 14th and 15th. Get your tickets today. Yankees play later on tonight against the Tigers. They are a game over 500. They've turned on the Jets lately. Sit 5.5 back in the division behind Baltimore.
Well, it's been a combination offensively. Carlos Beltran, and on the hill, CC Sabathia. How about how he's pitched?
What a rebound year he's had.
Parr at the plate. Gerardo a single and a double and a line out, 2 for 3. CC over his last 6 starts has, I believe, a low 1 ERA. It's the best 6-start stretch, amazingly, in his career, because he had an unbelievable career.
Not throwing as hard as he did early in his career, but he's spotting the fastball. It was fun to watch some of the highlights of him. I was watching Quick Pitch this morning and saw the highlights of CC.
Got a 2.28 ERA in 10 starts. The record's just 4-4, but as we know, wins and losses not always indicative of how a guy's pitching. Outside 3-0. Could the impossible happen right here, Huey?
You mean a walk?
Yeah, I mean, Gerardo hasn't walked since the Truman administration.
Come on now, he's got 4 on the year.
3-1. Did I miss one lately? He was locked in at 3.
But it took him, I think it was 23, 24 games in between those.
4 walks. And here it is, game 62. 3-2. This is the longest at bat of the season for Gerardo. He'll see a 6th pitch.
First in the league. Fewest pitches per plate appearance.
Another foul ball on a 3-2 pitch. In the 9th inning, Jason Mott will have Matt Kemp, Adam Rosales, and Melvin Upton. 3 right-handed bats.
He only threw 3 pitches to Will Myers, but it's just a sitting down and waiting.
Three-2 again. Another foul ball. Billy, you holding up there? Did you put enough sunscreen on?
Yeah, I got a ton of sunscreen on now. I'm hiding under the shade over here. Well, you were talking about keeping Jason Mott warm because he sat through only 3 pitches last inning. No, Mott is pacing this dugout back and forth talking, so
that's how he's staying warm.
That's how he's staying warm.
But he's not talking to anybody but himself, correct?
He's talking to everybody and himself.
We had some great shots of him.
Oh, how about those?
In San Diego, pacing the dugout as Spilly is describing.
It's like,
and having an ongoing conversation and nobody really looking at him.
Closing his eyes before he would deliver the pitch.
And Parra loses the battle to Mauer. 2 outs. That's what you want in your closer. And Jason was a great guy. He was asked after the game, you know, what were you saying, and you know, so forth. He goes, when I go out there, I have no idea. It's like I have an out-of-body experience. I have no idea what's going on. And that's the kind of, actually, that's kind of
closers are like that.
But I like it. You want the guy that that looks like he's just a little off kilter in the ninth inning.
Yeah, it's just not quite there.
Right. And we
And
mean
I
that
mean it in a nice way.
In a nice way,
yeah,
yes.
it's not being mean to him or. But Spilly, I mean, you know how many guys, closers especially, or relievers for that matter, are just in their own world. He's conducting a symphony.
See, there he is talking, and actually,
well,
Adames walking by.
He walked
okay.
by, okay.
Yeah, whatever. 1-2. Carlos Estevez, he's throwing a little bit in the Rockies' pen as maybe a parachute. Tyler Chatwood on the plus side. Eric Johnson gave up 5 runs in 4 2/3 on 9 hits in his Padre debut. That is not a foul tip. That's a strikeout. So Bauer strikes out the side. We'll go to the 9th. Mott getting ready to go. 5-3 Colorado.
By a score of 5-3. Mark Stout, Corey Sullivan out here in center field getting ready for the Toyota postgame show. We hope a happy one.
Yes, hopefully it doesn't end like yesterday, but you know what? It's been a really boring day for the outfielders. Up until the 8th inning, they only got 1 putout in the 8th inning.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's just boring.
Right?
Yeah.
Tyler Chatwood looking good, so hopefully things continue here with Jason Mott on the hill as we get to the 9th. We have this tweet that came in too. Maybe you can come up with some Mott memes for him as he paces the dugout.
I have to tell you what a meme is, obviously.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
a picture
like,
with
what's
words
it say?
over
Is
it.
that a GIF?
No, a GIF is a motion picture. A meme is a picture with words on top of it.
Drew, do you know what a meme is?
Yeah, it's a picture with a word on top of it.
I knew you didn't, because I know we're in the same boat with that.
Don't throw me under the bus
I'm
like
not.
that. I gave Sully the definition a few moments before you guys came on air. He regurgitated it, and then you asked me. Come on.
Apparently, he's not up on the social media.
1-0 on Kemp, and he lines this ball to left center field, and that'll get the tying run up. It's going to roll to the wall. It's a leadoff double for Kemp in the 9th inning. Same scenario as yesterday. The Rockies leading 5-3 in the 9th, looking for 3 more outs. The hardest 3 to get in a game typically.
And unlike last night, today they started off with the first batter of the inning with the double.
And they're going to pinch hit for Rosales with Brett Wallace. This is a guy with pop. He has 4 home runs. 2 have come against the Rockies.
And both of those home runs were to left field.
And he promptly gets hit. And now you got a bigger issue. Now the question will be, how long is the rope for Mott, who hasn't been in this situation in a while, spent most of the first couple of months on the disabled list, and here's your answer, because Walt Weiss is walking out to the mound. That's why he had Estevez getting loose. (5-3) Colorado, 2 Padres on, nobody out in the top of the 9th. Rockies in the 9th inning trying to protect a 2-run lead. A double by Kemp, and then Mott on the first pitch to pinch hitter Brett Wallace hit him. So Mott departs, and Carlos Estevez, who's been handling the 8th inning, is going to be asked to get his first career close, and he's not getting a clean inning. He's going to have to deal with traffic. Last night he dealt with traffic. There's a couple walks and there was a hit, but he ended up striking out the side and getting out of a little pickle in the 8th inning.
Yeah, and the last guy he struck out at Melvin Upton Jr., he touched 100 miles an hour.
Last couple outings he's touched triple digits, but here's the other thing. He threw 28 pitches yesterday.
And he has this mess now with the runners at first and second, nobody out. Positive stat that you can talk about for Carlos is he's 0 for 8 with inherited runners scoring.
You know, the trail runner, the tying run, Wallace, does not run particularly well. Swung on and missed on Upton, who has plenty of power. And the first fastball at 98. Upton homered yesterday. He's 1 for 3, an RBI single in the first.
Carlos had 18 career minor league saves.
One ball, one strike.
It's good to see the first 2 pitches, 97 and 98. There's no decrease in velocity. Pitching as many, or throwing as many pitches as he had last night. Coming out today.
And that at 98 on past Upton. It's 1-2.
Trouble catching up to it last night. No different today. You go back up there one more time.
This ball's in the air to center field. Blackman's got a play on it. Tagging is Kemp. He'll move up, and the throw will prevent Wallace from moving up. That's the key component in that defensive play. So it's first and third, 1 out.
And I don't know who was yelling out there, but you could hear on our field mics people were yelling 2-2-2 to Charlie to let him know, don't even try to get Kemp at third. Keep the double play in order. And that's just the communication that you need, whether it was an infielder or Cargo was helping him out because he was the closest guy in right field.
Alexi Ramirez, a walk and 2 groundouts. 5-3 Colorado. Wind blowing out a little bit on this hot day to left field. Smoke down the line, foul. Wow. We had that last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It hooked at the end, was fouled by about 1.5 feet.
That was, I believe, less than 1.5 feet. Looked like Ramirez cheated a little bit, huh?
Yes, he did. He just was thinking fastball. I'm going to guess. Try to get the barrel out in front.
And this is popped up in the infield. 2 outs. Now the Rockies right where they were last night. And now coming up, Derek Norris. Another guy who has plenty of pop. 2 for 3 this afternoon.
Now they are going to pinch run Jankowski at first. Much better speed than Brett Wallace, and you're thinking, well, why'd they wait so long? They really don't have another infielder since they've already used Rosales and Brett Wallace. So they had to wait until 2 outs to decide to use the pinch runner in Travis.
Here we go. Strike 1.
It's sitting at 98 right now is Carlos. 2 areas that you can pitch to Derek Norris. One is inside and also up. He's hitting below 100 in each of those locations.
Here's the 0-1. Runner going. They're going to throw through. Oh, second base. Ball game over. Jankowski cut down. The throw from Garneau to LeMahieu. Andy Green has already come out. Or excuse me, Norris is standing there, but Green's on the top step to see if they're going to review it.
They're not going to review it, and he's out.
He's out. Ball game over.
What a finish.
What a finish. And if you're the Padres, they took the gamble, and yeah, there's no question. What a catch by LeMahieu. Jankowski slid right into it. That's the second great catch by DJ LeMahieu, and the Rockies win it 5-3. And for Carlos Estevez, stepping forward, his first career save.
And he came out just firing today. And what a play by DJ. Not only did he have to reach around and make that tag, the ball staying in his glove. How wild was that?
Amazing finish. The Rockies will take it. Our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. First career save for Carlos Estevez. He gets a couple of fly balls, one in the infield after that fly ball. And then he was ahead of Norris. Jankowski takes off, and Garneau cuts him down. Ball game over. Shake hands. What a finish. The Rockies take out the Padres 5-3 tonight as they improve to 29-33. The Padres fall to 26-37. Tyler Chatwood improves to 8-4 on the season. Johnson, in his Padre debut, takes the loss. He is 0-3. Again, the save. Carlos Estevez, first big league save. Let's go to center field. Mark Stout, Corey Sullivan standing by. Mark, all yours.
Sullivan, you've stolen a bunch of bases in the big leagues.
I don't know about a bunch.
But have you ever had that happen to
No,
you?
that was an unbelievable play by DJ LeMahieu right there.
What a way to end the game. We've got a happy Toyota postgame show when we come back to Coors Field. Hope you join us.